Hello, everybody.
Howdy and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2022. And just so that we're not confused about anything, this is the last of the 2021 nail in the coffins.
Yes. And we want to say thank you, everyone, for the cards and for the emails and gifts that you gave us. And, I'm sorry I wasn't able to get cards out to all of you, but thank you very much. We had to just take the cards down so that we could put the coffin lids up so you can see how many coffin lids we have been doing since 2014.
Yeah, and this is number 7. And just so that we're not going to be confused for 2022, I'm going to use the same coffin lid because in 2021, there really wasn't that many people that had any interest in being on the coffin lid. So I'm going to use it for the second year.
Might as well. We've got room.
Plenty of room.
Yes. And thank you, all of you, for the past couple of days who have been sending me emails and, wanting to be on the coffin lid. We have 56 new pins, 7 new old-timers, and 1 for the heart. So let's get busy with it.
Yes, let's see. I think we're going to start right here with the green ones, correct?
Yes.
All right.
All right. Now, I apologize to anyone that I mispronounce your name. So, first we have a family of 6 for the green, Zuilo. And his family, he did not give me the names of the other family members, which is okay. That's okay. Because we have a lot of Pimos. We even have some Pimo elders. All right, we have 2 white ones.
Right here.
This is a couple, Ricky and his wife. Okay, and then we have a family of 8 of dark blue.
Right here.
Anita, Phil, David, Stephen, Becky, Jared, Jessica, Jake. Okay, then we have clear red. This is a couple, Brenda and Tim.
Nice.
And then we have a mom and daughter in purple. This is Katie and her daughter.
Right here.
And then we have a family of 5 in yellow.
Right here.
JL, JL, KL, KL, and KL.
Okay.
Then
Now we're going to go back up to these 2 blue right here. Kind of crowding everybody together right now.
clear blue. This is father and son, Paul and Timothy. Now we have a family of 6 in gold.
Right
This
here.
is LP, MP, RP, PP, BP, and MP. And just to let you all know who aren't familiar, the reason some will just do their initials is they're actually Pimos, and they're trying to wake up other family members,
Yeah.
so
Hey.
this is why.
Hey, Tony Morris, these aren't part of the 75 that came back to you.
In one circuit.
Yeah, in one circuit alone, exactly.
Yeah, well, the new service report is out, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that and how we think Aunt Mo is full of caca.
That's why he's so big and swimming in that suit of his. We digress.
I know, back to the nails. We have clear green, 2. This is a couple, MS and DS.
Trying to get this up so that everybody can see.
Yes, and then we have 3 in the hot pink color.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, this is Casey and her 2 grown children.
Nice.
And then we're going to go up to the singles.
Okay, I'm going to have to do a little bit of fancy footwork with the single ones here.
Because he doesn't remember where he put them.
Well, it's not that. It's just the room.
Yeah. All right. Starting with the black
With the
one.
black one. I get the black one right here.
All right. This is for Gary.
Yeah.
Clear purple is Valerie. Clear is Rachel.
There. Yeah.
Biko is red.
Yeah.
Laura is dark blue.
Yep.
Andres in Mexico is silver.
Cool.
Sabrina is hot pink. Margaret is yellow.
Yeah. And then I think I come back all the way over here to a clear one, correct?
Clear, yeah.
All right. Hey, I got it right.
And I think you pronounce this Davros. Okay, and then Amanda is light orange.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Davros is clear. Yep.
Okay, clear. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, clear.
Okay, and Amanda is light
There
orange.
we go.
D'Anthony is clear red.
Yep.
MV is blue.
Yeah, see, now we have to go back down to here because these two yellow ones are previously put in. So now
Yeah.
we're right over here, guys.
Yep.
So you can see where you're located.
Yep. TS is clear blue.
Yep, that one.
Okay, and Carol is orange.
Yep.
Daniel, an ex-elder, is green. Jordan, another ex-elder, is light green. Zulima is purple. Amir is clear.
Nice.
Okay, so get the hammer.
Back
We've
up
got
here.
some old timers.
Yep.
Now, these are ones that left prior to 2014. And we just chose that date because that's when we started doing the
Right,
coffin
absolutely.
lid.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so we got 7 old timers. We have Misty, John, BB, Mona, Ozzy, Siobhan, and Martin. Okay, and then the heart, we have someone that ended his study.
Oh, and this one's going to be good.
Yep, and he wants to go by the name of Badass 89,000.
There's the tap on the heart.
All right. So the grand total for the year that we have is 118, and I know it is a little less than in previous years, but like Mike mentioned, we really haven't been getting, any emails of anyone wanting to be on the coffin lid, and there's so many new ones that, don't even know what the coffin lid is. Or ones like my son-in-law's family that came out and they're like, no, I don't want to be on the nail in the coffin. I don't want nothing to do with Watchtower. So,
Oh, that's their personal choice. And for those of you that are familiar with the nails in the coffin, Kim and I over the years have put a lot of information in these nails in a coffin that might be, I don't want to say controversial, but we actually hide some things in the nail in the coffin because we recognize that not every ex-Jehovah's Witness watches this because they don't think it's anything more than just a nail in a coffin. And case in point is that Kim and I, several years ago, started tracking the closing of the congregations and the selling off of the kingdom halls and the branches. And this seems to have gotten missed over the years. Like what you have to recognize, this gold pin right here, that one gold pin represents 321 congregations gone, or kingdom halls included. This number 216 gone, congregate or kingdom halls included. That's what this is all about. Kim and I have been tracking the closing of kingdom halls, the selling of properties, and the kingdom halls that have been disbanded. So when a lot of people think that these nails in the coffins are just, boring, 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 we've got a lot of information that we actually put into our nail in the coffin. So it doesn't just only represent those that are leaving, it also represents what Watchtower has been doing as far as getting rid of congregations, joining congregations, and selling their properties.
For example, like this one is going to contain some emails that we have received from PMOs and, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. And it is also going to contain the service report and a little bit about the property sold. So, a lot of that information, like Mike said, gets missed sometimes. And, but, we appreciate, all the information you guys send us because, to be honest, property sold this past year is a little bit low. And the reason for that is I lost all the helpers that were helping me, find these properties. And not that many from other countries are, getting involved in the properties being sold. Some are doing it on Facebook and Reddit of properties sold. But unless someone sends me the information, I don't know about it.
Right.
And I have a list of all the kingdom halls in the United States. But, I just haven't had time to do any of that this past year. So, there may be a lot more. Well, we already know there's a lot more that is being sold that we don't even know about.
Right.
So we just wanted to explain, why the numbers are a little low this year. And I want to mention about PMOs because I happen to have had an email from one. And this is really interesting because he sent me an email and he says, just writing to give you an update on the trend here in Oz, which is Australia.
Just before you read that, see, this is a qualifier, what we've been talking about. We know that a lot of XJWs won't watch these because they think it's boring nail in a coffin, but yet at the same time, in a lot of our previous ones, we've hidden emails such as this because we know, Kim and I know, that Watchtower does for a fact watch what Kim and I do because they know that we're reading the emails from these PMOs. Whether you agree with that or not, I really don't care. But Watchtower, this ticks off Watchtower knowing that the PMOs are in contact with the ex-members.
And that's why we're very careful, when reading these, I will edit out, information or names or their emails because we don't want to out them. And, just like the other day, we did a video about the leaked video and letter from JW Studios. So, that's why I said PMOs are great because they're leaking this information to us.
Yes.
And, Watchtower can brag about their service report all they want and pencil whip the numbers all they want. But we know, don't we?
We know different.
That a majority, there's more PMOs than they even realize. And especially when you get emails from PMOs, you got one earlier, they were ranting about this week's meeting on Zoom. And they said, I don't have anybody else to talk to. Because we know if they say anything to the JW friends and family, they're going to be outed and they're going to be disfellowshipped.
Right.
So who else do they have to talk to? Us. And that's why we love those kind of emails of someone ranting. And it's true. It's like, really, what is up with this garbage? And an XJW sent me an email from someone over on a JW forum, and they were talking about the new JW
Jonah
movie about Jonah. Jonah movie. And it's like, it was so funny because they were mocking it. And remember, we said Jehovah's Witnesses aren't even watching, the JW.org videos. But when they do, they'll go over onto these other forums and mock them.
I know.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Well, that's why it's nice having your finger on the pulse.
Yeah. Now, I just wanted to read this here before we get into the property part of all of this. And he mentions that there are a few older elders that are now PMOs. But see, we know they can't say or do anything because all of their family, their wives and, kids and grandkids and great-grandkids will shun them if they suddenly, step down and become an apostate, say what they're really thinking. Plus, we also know a lot are staying in just so they can talk to others, friends and families. And we know that they are doing a lot of damage, just by keeping quiet and just planting little seeds of unwitnessing. So, this is interesting. Now, like I said, this is from a PMO, so thank you, sweetie. Had a meal with an elder friend recently, and he told me he no longer goes to elders meetings and said they speak a lot of crap there. Particularly the way they speak about the LBQT. He was swearing in anger about the system. He said he is going to a psychiatrist and is diagnosed with PTSD. We know the cause. And he is now on meds. He's still an elder, but never comments, and his Zoom video is off most of the time. I believe he is still mentally in, but for how long? Well, if he's showing dissent,
Right.
against the elders meeting and not going to the elders meeting,
It won't be long.
yeah, and we all know why he was diagnosed with PTSD. Because a lot of us have been, just because of the high control cult that we grew up in. Ugh. One of my longtime POMO, which is physically out, mentally out, DF friends got a call from a previous very prominent high-ranking elder who has stepped down a while ago but still involved with the organization at present. However, when he spoke to my friend, he stated he basically doesn't believe, and the only reason he still attends is because of the scripture, not forsaking the gathering together. Plus, family reasons as mentioned above. So, and he says there's a lot of sand shifting going on in the congregation here. Another friend in a neighboring congregation said they have about 14 elders now. Because of this will be spouted as evidence of increase, and we know, Aunt Mo was talking about the increase and all the ones that are coming back to Jehovah, reactivated. Well, we know why they are showing increase. Let's see. However, at least 2 of them reside in other city and counties outside the city, which is over an hour's drive away from the Kingdom Hall. Our congregation has similar, at least one in another city. This gives a false impression of growth when in fact Paul is getting robbed for Peter. Very similar saying we have here in the United States. You rob Peter to pay Paul. There are also people zooming in from overseas, which was interesting. USA and even South Africa. I wonder if people are assigned by the organization to zoom into other meetings, including overseas, to beef up the attendance and encourage the locals by having a worldwide presence.
Well, you know what that means? That just translates into, we could use you in another congregation. So they're gonna move these people around to make it look like that congregation is experiencing a lot of growth. We need the help. Would you be willing to zoom in? It's the same mechanism that they've employed over the centuries.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors, I say. You're right. You're right. You can share this info on one of your next videos if you want. It may encourage PMO elders as they're doing it tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have it rough because you have no one to talk to. And so, you can always contact us and we will keep your information and your name secret.
Absolutely.
Yeah. At KimmyMBrooks@gmail.com. And we've even given out our phone numbers to many of you PMO elders and PMO ministerial servants and others, just so you have someone to talk to. Because we know you guys have it rough. I mean, you have it a lot rougher than we do.
Yeah,
Because we don't care.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, because not everybody is in a position, even though my mother is still a fully indoctrinated JW, but not everybody is in the position to look at the camera like, we did several years ago and say, hey, Watchtower, you keep my mother. I don't care. I have my freedom. And even more so, I've learned to claim my own divinity and my own sovereignty. And that you can't believe how far statements like that goes into the minds of Watchtower. Because when they hear somebody like myself and Kim make these absolute statements, it destroys their mechanism for trying to keep everyone else connected to them.
Well, I've even had, comments and messages from Christians or maybe ex-JWs who are, Christians of other religions. And we even had someone do a video bashing us, saying, oh, Mike claims his own divinity. But see, the thing is they don't understand.
They don't get it.
If we are all children of God, the source of all, then that makes us all part of Him. All divine.
Yeah, and Jesus even said, if you have me, you have the Father. And if you read what Paul says about, we are all God's temple, then how does that not make you divine? But you have religions like Watchtower that have manipulated to steal that away from you.
Well, the thing is Jehovah's Witnesses actually do believe in that, but they only believe 144,000
Right.
are those, special ones and children of God and,
Well, they don't-
their own divinity. So,
Yeah, it just comes down to is they don't know what to do with this new, if you will, theology, this new way of thinking. But everything that we have just stated, you can find right in, even in the New World Translation or in the King James. Thing is your ministers won't teach you this, because once they do, they lose the flock, and more importantly, they lose money in their coffers, and outside of Watchtower, they lose their income.
yeah. But we digress. We're going to get into the property thing here. I want to thank Adam so much for
Yes.
taking the time out of his busy schedule. I mean, that poor guy, he's working full time and he has a family that, he has to spend time with. But thank you, sweetie, for taking the time and doing the Watchtower Property Tracker update for us. Now, I'm going to put the link down below to his Facebook page. If you want to contact and have any, properties to put on there, also the link to the actual Watchtower Property Tracker. And you can put these properties in yourself. And, it's great if you can find the property listing, because there is a section where you can put the link right in the Watchtower Property Tracker. So, I don't have to do it myself. You can put it in, and, but you can also check the spreadsheet. So I will put the link to all of those down below so that you can go look at all of these kingdom halls. And as many as we can, we have the amounts, I should say properties. It's not just kingdom halls. But we have the amounts, if we can find out how much they were sold for, and the actual links to the property listing. So, thanks to Adam, we have the breakdown here for the stats for this year. For sale, assembly halls. There is one in Belgium for sale for $2,147,000. Now, what he has done is converted this to US dollars. So, thank you. That was a lot of hard work, because there's a lot here. Okay, an assembly hall in Denmark, 1.5 million. Netherlands, we don't have a price, but we know it's up for sale. Bethel Branch property. Oh my goodness. There is one in Costa Rica, one in Greece, 48 in the UK, and 2 in the United States. And those up for sale total $114,769,144, and there's 52 of those properties. And I'm not going to put the screenshots of all of this because it's in the Watchtower Property Tracker. Just go look at that and you will see all of them. I'm just doing a brief summary of just this past year. Alright, Kingdom Halls. We know about 3 in Argentina, 4 in Australia, 1 in Austria, 4 in Canada, 1 in Chile, 15 in Germany, 5 in Jamaica, 1 in Norway, 24 in Poland, 47 in Puerto Rico, 17 in the United Kingdom, and 88 in the United States. And that total that we know about comes up to $47,637,000. Now, people will the branch in the United States their property. And so a lot of this will have residential property and vacant land. And that's what they do. Jehovah's Witnesses will put it in their will that, Watchtower gets their estate. Most of it is property. And so when you see residential property, now it's interesting because the Poland branch has a website of them selling all of their property that they're overseeing. So that's how we're able to find some of these. Most of them we can't find. All right, so Poland, 6 residential properties and one residential property for a total of $2,265,000. Poland, vacant land, we know about 12 of them for $3.6 million. For sale total comes to $172 million and some change. Okay, then we have sold totals. Assembly halls that have been sold, $21,143,000 for totals. An assembly hall with 5 kingdom halls, we all know about that. That was sold, $7.6 million. Boy, they're just raking in the money,
Well,
aren't they? I know, he's just chomping at the bit because he's got some information here he wants to share. How they have the right to do this.
Biblical precedents.
Yeah. Bethel branch properties, we have 55 of those, totaling $2,338,535,000. Deceased estate, we know about one. Here in the United States, it was $32,000. A houseboat in Paraguay for $275,000. They started selling some of their houseboats. These were used by the pioneers and missionaries, and they would sail up and down the river preaching. So that's why they're houseboats. All right, industrial property in Poland for sale, $46,000. Okay, kingdom halls. There's a lot here, so I'm just going to say 674 of them, totaling $189,356,000. There's a kingdom hall here with 7 apartments in Norway that is up for sale, but we don't have an amount. Remote translating offices. Watchtower was buying these and starting them up. Well, now they're starting to sell them.
That's right.
Yep.
Because they have the right.
Yep. This one in the UK was sold almost $1.5 million. Residential property in New Zealand and United States, we have a total of 4, totaling $198,000. The ones in New Zealand, we just don't have a price of how much they were sold for. All right. Residential properties, we have 4 of them, $198,400. Vacant land, there are 3 in Australia, 1 in New Zealand, and 3 in the United States, for a total of $1.9 million. Okay, so the grand total, I know that's a lot of numbers, grand total, they have sold property, sold total, $2,560,619,000, and then the overall grand total on our Watchtower property tracker is $2,732,000 and some odd change. So that's a lot of property. And I just want to mention here, he says the numbers are conservative. This is due to the following: Watchtower not disclosing the sale amounts for the branch properties that they have sold, which is true. A lot of these branches have sold, and we don't know. They used to have 99 branches, and in the new service report, they only have 87. A lot of those branches they've sold over the years, we can't find out how much. Kingdom Hall sale values not being disclosed, therefore showing a 0 on the data.
So it is a conservative number.
Yeah, so that is just the ones we know about. There's a lot that's been sold that we just can't find out how much they sold for. Very little sales data from countries other than the US, UK, and Australia. And that's the thing is, you know, we would love for some of these other countries to start, you know, letting us know about kingdom halls and properties being sold there. He says, I have cleaned up the data on the property tracker itself, so there are no longer any duplicate records. Some were moved from the for sale to the sold column.
Right.
Yeah. And it says, however, to make this Watchtower property tracker more valuable, our biggest problem is getting property sale information from other countries. So Thank you very much, Adam. We appreciate
Work is much, much appreciated.
very much appreciated. And also, if you go to ibsaproperty.com, now in Britain, the Jehovah's Witnesses are known as the IBSA. They still carry that corporation name, and that is the name, the corporation they sell their property under. Well, you can go to ibsaproperty.com, and they used to have a tremendous amount of listings. Their London branch, all of the residential area, properties that they own. They own like a convention center, assembly halls, and all that. It looks like most of those have sold. And all they have left are, it looks like, 3 residential properties that are apartment buildings. So, apartments, that's going to be a lot of money, especially since each apartment is sold.
It's a lot of money for a non-profit organization. Now they have JW Studios to funnel that money so that they don't have to pay taxes on it. Religion is a snare and a racket.
Yeah. Well, for example, it's no longer in their listing, so they must have sold it. But the Lowood house, this was a mansion they owned. And they had it listed for £2.1 million. So it's like, my goodness, they must have sold it. But see, there's no way for us to find out how much each one of these is actually sold for. So that gives you an idea of the amount of property Watchtower is selling. And we have no idea, how much, they're really getting in, money. So Mikey has just been dying to cover this.
Here again, it's pretty simple to see if you spend your time doing your research and thinking about it. That's why I so much appreciate what XJW Elder's wife Jane Doe has been doing. Now, we have a conversation every day, and
I'm sorry, sweetie.
yeah. But here again, she did a video real recently talking about the Apostle Paul, and if you guys have been watching our channel, you'll know that I've said it more than once. There's a difference between Jewish Christians and Pauline Christians. And if you don't comprehend that, you'll never see what's really going on. Why there's a battle for theology between Pauline Christians and Jewish Christians, and Jane Doe's been bringing some of this out. Well, in among that, she came across a scripture in 1 Corinthians chapter 9. And this is supposedly Paul writing this, and it really has to be reflected back on Watchtower, because Watchtower has the right to sell these properties, because they've made every Jehovah's Witness think that, oh, look, we're doing this for the increasing of Jehovah's kingdom. And when you Jehovah's Witnesses donate money to buy the property, when you donate money to build a kingdom hall, and then all of a sudden, Watchtower is wanting that property, then they'll come along and take it because you dedicated it to Jehovah. So they have that right. But the Apostle Paul is saying the same thing. Chapter 9, starting at verse 1. Am I not free? Am I not an apostle? Have I not seen Jesus, our Lord? Are not you my work in the Lord? Do you understand? Are we not the 144,000? Are you not the are you not the effort of our work? Yeah, that's how they can steal your property, steal your money. The Apostle Paul's done the same thing. Going on, if I am not an apostle to others, I mostly certainly am to you. Well, if the Baptists don't recognize the governing body is 144,000, but you Jehovah's Witnesses certainly do. Snare and a racket built upon the words coming out of God's inerrant word. Okay? I most certainly am to you, for you are the seal confirming my apostleship in relation to the Lord. Well, every one of you Jehovah's Witnesses validate that the 8 morons in Warwick are the 144,000. They are the governing body. As long as you people stay with this organization, you are confirming that they are who they say they are. Apostle Paul's using the same words. Going on. Verse 3. My defense to those who examine me is as follows. We have authority to eat and drink, do we not? We have the authority to lead about a sister as a wife, even as the rest of the apostles and the Lord's brothers and Cephas, do we not? Or is it only Barnabas and I that do not have authority to refrain from secular work? Go ahead and read it. Read exactly what the Apostle Paul is saying. But this is what most of your Christian religions, and especially the Watchtower Bible Crop Society, are using to take your sovereignty, your authority away from you and transfer it on to them. It's plain to see.
Lead a sister?
I
Have the authority to lead a sister as a wife?
That's why Watchtower has to change the words.
Yeah, I looked it up. In the New Silver Bible, they had to change the words, and there's a footnote, as a sister. So, how do you feel about them having the authority to lead you women around as a wife? They're your head. I would have issues with that.
Well, didn't Jesus appoint us masters over your faith and your belongings? Don't they have the authority to do this?
Well, that's why I got out the organization book. Now, this is the new one. And before I read this, I just want to mention that look at the Kingdom Hall Trust Fund. We covered that a while back. I don't remember when. But if you do Kingdom Hall Trust Fund, search in our videos, you will see the videos we did where Watchtower was going in and they were actually having congregations just sign all their property and money. Just give it all to Watchtower.
Don't we deserve
The Kingdom Hall Trust Fund. They came in, got the property, they took the bank accounts and, had them transfer it to the general fund of the Kingdom Hall Trust. So, they have been doing this for several years now. And unfortunately, the Jehovah's Witnesses and even the PMOs and those just waking up and leaving, they don't realize what Watchtower has been doing. They have been taking this property, selling it, and then, keeping all of the money. So I've got the organization book here. Like I said, this is the new one. And on page 19, under the subheading, Identifying the Faithful and Discreet Slave. This is paragraph 6, and I'm not going to read all of that. I'm just going to go about, halfway down and read this. Likewise, the faithful and discreet slave has been charged with the responsibility of managing the household of faith. See, they have been charged with this responsibility right from Jesus Christ himself. Oy vey. So the faithful slave also oversees material assets. The preaching activity, assembly and convention programs, the appointment of overseers to serve in various capacities in the organization, and the production of Bible literature, all of which benefit the domestics. How does them being in charge of material assets and selling them off benefit the domestics? Because I've got an email here from someone.
Just real quick, reflecting back, am I not free? Am I not an apostle? Have I not seen Jesus our Lord? Are not you my work in the Lord? Do you see what Paul's doing? He's setting himself up as a cult leader. The same mechanism that Watchtower uses.
Thank you, sweetie. Because just this morning, she told me about a Kingdom Hall that sold in Stigler, Oklahoma, and it was permanently closed. Well, then I found that it had been sold, and it's really disturbing because look at the map here. I went to jw.org and I got this. Stigler, Oklahoma. It's that, like, since that one is gone, the closest Kingdom Halls now are 40 miles away. So when these Jehovah's Witnesses start going back to the Kingdom Hall, they're going to have a 40-mile drive one way. And like she said, it's a very poor area where it's rural and a poor area, and most people have to travel a good distance just to have a decent paying job. And with the virus, this area has gotten hit hard economically. The Chevrolet dealership in Stigler has fewer than 15 vehicles on their lot, and that is between new and used vehicles. Normally they used to have 200 plus. So this is an area that has been hit hard. And then what does the governing body decide to do? Watchtower decide to do? Sell the only Kingdom Hall within 40 miles so that these people have to decide between, you know, driving all that distance, and if they have to drive, you know, to a city for a better paying job, they're going to be driving, you know, 7 days a week. That's going to cost them a fortune.
Well, not only that, if you guys have been paying attention to the news, you will see that some of the economists of the United States are predicting that in 2022, gasoline's going to be going up to about $4 a gallon. How's that going to work out for you, Watchtower? How's that going to work out? You're going to go right back to doing the same thing you did back during the Obama era when gasoline went up to $4 plus a gallon, and you're just going to cram everything into one little meeting.
Yeah. Now I do have a little bit more property information. This was all the properties that I had found since we did our last nail in coffin. And like I said, there was just too many to even go through them. I just have a few things here to mention, and then we'll get into the service report. Now, someone sent me this from Canada, and this was a little bit of math they did. I have found about 66%, 2/3 of the property assessment of the Kingdom Halls in Canada. I have compiled what I could find on the web for free. For Ontario State, I would have to pay a large amount. And I know, I've had the same problem.
Right.
You know, you can only go by, you know, the information they have for free. I estimate that all 100% of the value of the Canadian properties of Watchtower. Now, this is the Watchtower properties that, you know, they have. Canadian dollars is 742 million Canadian dollars. So that's the value of all their property, okay? By merging in 2018, by taking possession of the Kingdom Halls, 587 million US dollars, more than $500 million, was stolen. So by merging these congregations, they were able to take possession of a lot of these Kingdom Halls, totaling $587 million.
But see, they deserve it because they're the anointed, they're the 144,000, they're the governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses. So they deserve all of this.
Yeah. Now I want to mention, I know our battery's going dead, I want to mention real quick that the Jamaican branch sold in 2018, but we don't have the price on that. So if anybody, you know, knows, the only thing I could find was an article that says the new U.S. $30 million technology park for St. Catherine. So I don't know if that's how much they paid for it, or if that's how much it's going to cost for them to make it into this technology park. I don't know. But anyway, if anybody happens to know how much they sold that for. Also, the Kingdom Hall at 4643 East Lee Street in Tucson, Arizona has sold. And all I can see is Connected Investors. That's the site it sold on, but we can't find an amount because it's private information. And then there were several Kingdom Halls that are showing permanently closed, but I'm checking and they're not up for sale yet. And I mean, I really recommend for all of you to go look at the Watchtower Property Tracker. You know, like I said, click below on the spreadsheet. Well, like this Kingdom Hall in Sharon, Massachusetts, sold for $750,000.
Well, there again, how much investment does Watchtower have in this when it's all of your donated money? Zero investment.
Yeah. You know, there was one here in, Michigan that sold for $395,000. This one sold in Stillwater, Minnesota for $360,000. Another one in Tucson sold for $270,000.
But they deserve it.
There were several in Australia that we just don't know the price of. So, you guys ready for the service report? The 2021 service report is out. And this was very interesting to me. Now, I already know that Watchtower pencil whips the numbers. I mean, we already know that, right? So I got out last year's totals so I could do some math and comparisons. And thank you, Dennis, for sending me your analysis on the annual figures of memorial partakers. It's interesting that it's been going up in number up until this year. It actually went down. So thank you for that. Now, it's interesting because when you look at the peak publishers they have for this year, it is 8,686,980. That is actually 8,828 less peak publishers than they had last year. And when I looked at these numbers, I told Mike, I says, oh, yeah.
Well, you got to remember, Toni Morris said we had 25,000 of our brothers and sisters around the world died from COVID. So here again, you've got all these less numbers, and they're not really going to blame it on PMOs waking up and leaving. They're going to blame it on, a worldwide problem.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, Toni Morris mentioned all those that have died. We know many have left. And, even in their numbers showing 8,800 less peak publishers, but when you go to the average publishers, it's more. But
Right.
they're still showing a 0.7 increase, whereas last year they had a minus 0.6. So they had a 0.6 decrease, but yet this year they have a 0.7 increase.
Even with all those thousands dying, thousands leaving, you have less participants in the memorial celebration. You've got all of this less, according to these grand totals of the 2021 service year report, and yet they're showing a 0.7% increase. The math don't work.
Yeah. Now they are showing 119,297 congregations. That is 1,090 less than last year. So that means it's almost 1,100 congregations that they have shut down, gotten rid of. So how many of those Kingdom Halls have sold that we don't even know about? And that's the thing, is I would love to have some real numbers, with all of it, instead of just, what we can find.
Instead of just blowing smoke up everybody's skirt.
Yeah. Now they have 171,393 baptized.
Now it's interesting because the JW over this past summer told me that they're going to record like 250,000 baptized. That's not what's in the service year report right here.
Yeah. Yeah. The elders and the circuit overseers were bragging about how many were going to be baptized this year. And then when we get the service report, it's only 171,000. Makes you wonder. Yeah. So your elders and circuit overseers lied to you.
Assuming those are not the PMOs, because I don't think the PMOs would lie at this point, unless
No.
it was absolutely necessary.
Yeah, it's Jehovah's Witnesses bragging about their increase, you know. All right, now what I like to do every year is the reverse math. And this is interesting because when you take this year's average publishers and minus, you know, the ones baptized, it gives you 8,308,754 publishers. Okay? So if they didn't have any baptized, they would have had some missing. So like I said, I like to do the reverse math. So when you deduct that from last year's average publishers, there are 115,431 Jehovah's Witness publishers missing.
But yet they had a 0.7% increase.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing with Watchtower and their numbers. These Jehovah's Witnesses, they are not going to take any effort into looking at these numbers and scrutinize them like we would. All they're going to do is look, we have a 0.7% increase. Jehovah's blessing us.
Yeah. And like I said, thank you, Dennis, for giving me the annual figures for the memorial partakers. Because when you go back in time, they were decreasing. These numbers were going down all the way up to, let's see, 2005, when they had 8,524 partakers. Well, then imagine everyone's surprise when they started going up. And, you know, Watchtower even came out with an article, well, maybe these are some, you know, who just out of emotion. You know, it's just an emotional thing, or maybe mental illness, you know, because, I mean, we can't have the numbers going up.
Well, but Tony Morris or Let's certainly not going to tell you, well, this is because people are waking up and recognizing.
Yeah. A lot of this is PMOs who are partaking because they don't believe the Watchtower nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I digress. So anyway, when you follow this all the way up to last year, 2020, partakers was 21,182. Whereas this year, there were only 20,746.
But Watchtower, these are the last of the final part of the last days. And since Jehovah sealed all of the 144,000 back into the 30s, you shouldn't be having 20,000 people partaking now.
Well, do you realize that if they still believed that nonsense, that all of them were sealed in 1935, you know what that would mean?
They're already dead and gone. We should already be in the new system of things.
Oh, no, it's more profound than that.
Well, do tell.
That means that every single one on the governing body right now
I got it. Go ahead.
are only partaking because of mental illness and emotion.
No,
they can't possibly be real 144,000.
Well, that's why they're stealing all your property, Jehovah's.
Right?
I know.
That's what we were told.
They don't get it.
Yeah, all of those 144,000 were sealed before 1935, and that's why the great crowd started growing. I digress.
Well, they just can't sort the rhetoric through, and they
We have way
can't
too
do
much
it.
fun.
Well, it's because it's so obvious to us, because we've been Jehovah's Witnesses for 40 plus years. We know what they were teaching back then because we heard it in our meetings in 72, 73, 75, 76, and in the 80s. And it's like we have lived through the changes that Watchtower's been forced to do.
That makes me feel old.
It makes me feel old too.
We're the 1975 Screw generation.
Yeah.
But before I forget, that means there was 436 less partaking this year. So are the numbers going to start going down again?
As more and more people wake up and leave and become part of the nail in the coffin.
Well, I just thought of something. We did a video years ago, and it was from Aunt Mo when he was bragging at one of the talks about how he was in the service. He was in the military service in the human hot dogs, because you mentioned the human hot dogs the other day.
Yeah.
You know, and he's talking about his military service. And we did a video, and this is very profound. If King David could not build the temple because he had blood in his hands, then how can Aunt Mo be one of the 144,000, let alone, you know, one of the faithful and discreet slave?
Yeah, when he's got blood on his hands.
Yeah, he's in the military service, and it doesn't matter if that, you know, was before he was a Jehovah's Witness or not.
Before conversion.
Because the Bible does not say King David, you know, repented and all of this. No, he had blood on his hands, so he couldn't build the temple. So explain that one, Watchtower.
Well, but yet King Solomon murders his half brother with blood on his hand.
And he can build it.
He can build a temple. Not only that, he can marry the daughter of Pharaoh, and he still qualifies to build a house of Jehovah.
Yeah. Well, that Pimo we had the email from ranting about the meeting, and they're like, or am I missing something?
Yeah.
No, sweetie, you're not missing anything.
No, you're not missing anything. In fact,
You're starting to think.
I'll do a video specifically on that, because this is really good, because it goes back to a video I did like 4 years ago. Who is Jehovah that I should obey his voice? There's a lot in the way this Bible's been put together that is an absolute deflection, so that you don't see absolutely what's going on. And if you don't see absolutely what's going on, then they can employ the mind control that eventually gets you to open up your wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a video in itself. But thank you so much, everybody, for sharing, you know, this momentous moment, end of the year video. We always love, you know, these nail and coffins, because like Mike mentioned earlier, we've been keeping track of, you know, Watchtower's decline and all of them leaving. You know, we didn't add up all of the numbers of, you know, the ones that are on the nail and coffin, but as you can see, there's some coffin lids here that are completely full. And so, you know, there is a lot. And so we hope you have a blessed new year, and let's hope 2022 will be at least a little bit better.
Just remember, when you learn to accept your divinity, when you learn to take back your sovereignty, there is a responsibility with that. And that responsibility is to maintain a vibration level up here. Don't let these people make you come back down to their level. You will vibrate higher. You will see things much, much more clearer, and things will make much more sense.
Yeah, it does.
We know it.
It does. And it's amazing, you know, when you go back and watch something that you watched years ago, and then you catch stuff that you never caught before. And it's like, oh, I understand that better now.
Because you're mentally resonating up here at a higher, more superior level.
Yeah. Yep. So you all have a wonderful weekend, and be safe out there. You know, if you're going to drink, don't drive.
Or if you do, keep it between the railings.
So stay safe, and we love you all.
Bye.